action. This bout is set for 10 rounds in the cruiserweight division. First introducing in the blue corner, wearing the red trunks. He weighed in at 197 pounds. His record stands at 17 wins, just 4 losses, 2 draws, 8 of his wins coming by knockout. From Tonga, now fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, Sione Asipeli. His opponent in the red corner, wearing the red, white, and blue trunks. He weighed in at 194.5 pounds. His record, an outstanding one. 28 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, with 22 big knockouts. Please welcome, from Cologne, Panama, Guillermo Jones. 10 rounds, cruiserweight.
Center, please. All right, gentlemen, you received your instructions in the locker room. I expect a good, clean, tough fight. But defend yourself at all times. Any questions over on the right? Any questions on my left? Shake hands, have a good, clean fight, guys.
These guys, the exact same reach and a 6-inch height advantage for Jones. As strange as that may seem, if you think about it, that's further proof that Asipeli may be the natural cruiser and Jones is an inflated junior middleweight.
And as for rules, no wrinkles here. The uniform rules of boxing apply. Referee Frank Thompson in the middle, getting them ready. 2 guys in red. How did this happen? So we'll be a little bit more descriptive as we say. The man from Tonga, Sione Asipeli, is the shorter guy. And you're looking at Guillermo Jones, whose game plan is to box. But here comes the Tongan, moving forward with authority, punching his way in. We didn't see that against Tony, Steve.
Definitely not. Tony counterpunched so beautifully, he didn't give Asipeli a chance to do what he does. You can see Jones has no choice. If Asipeli's going to run at him, Jones is either has to punch and punch off it, or ride on the inside.
Well, Steve, we just touched on it moments ago. Can Guillermo Jones fight at this kind of pace with a big cruiserweight in his face? And right now, he looks like this is not the kind of rapid pace he was looking for, as it's Asipeli dictating things.
Asipeli's pumped. He is pumped.
Asipeli taking shots on the way in. Watch that uppercut. The shorter man could run into those from Jones. That's a power punch from him. But Jones is the guy backing up. He wants to spin and never get caught on those ropes. His new trainer, Stacy McKinley, said he can't be there.
Right now, Jones is getting the better of it by far. You've heard it a million times with pressure fighters. They are more effective if they jab it away in. Let's see if Asipeli does that. He started doing it in the beginning of the round, not doing it as much now.
Man, this is a spirited pace here for round 1. Cruiserweights, remember, 190 to both, about 204. But they are going at it, scheduled for 10. Asipeli, not much of a jab, but enough to discourage Jones, who starts to fight back now.
Interesting what's going on, because Asipeli may be losing the battle, but he may win the war because of it. This is the kind of fight he wants.
They fought less than 2 minutes here. Things in a rapid clip, and now it's Asipeli eating a right hand as his back is near the ropes. And Jones with hammering with the right. A low blow there, not caught by Frank Thompson. Jones with the jab, hooking off the jab. And now it's Asipeli leaning on him with some shoulder. Steve, what should Jones do here when Asipeli ties him up so much?
Well, yeah, that's it. If Asipeli's going to get inside and not work, then Jones doesn't have to do anything. He's going to be happy because that's a breather for him.
Here comes Jones, throwing those uppercuts, but it looks like he's feeling some punches too.
Well, every time Jones throws an uppercut, Asipeli counters with the left hook.
They called Asipeli durable and gutsy and a guy with a granite chin, but I don't think they expected this kind of pace out of him. They knew he was going to come forward with bull rushes, but man, his punch count is really up there. And Asipeli told us earlier how he wanted to set up Guillermo Jones. Here's the strategy.
I had to do the body. I work a lot of, I sparred a lot with big guy for this fight. I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna try the body, but I'm gonna mix him up. Whereas I'm gonna find, that's the way I'm gonna do it. If I stay in the body and I feel the body's weak, and I have to stay in the body the whole time. And I'm gonna mix him up. I'm gonna do the body, I'm gonna do the head, everywhere I see it, I'm gonna hit it. Because this fight is really important to me. I'm not gonna take no loss in this fight. I'm gonna bring everything for this fight because it's the most important for this one for me.
I want the jab to go. Okay? Inside, you kicking his ass. Inside, beat him up.
All right, they like Sione Asipeli's inside work, but we heard them mention jab. Edmund Lewis, the trainer for Sione Asipeli, who is running down Guillermo Jones again. The object cuts the ring in half, and Jones with a stiff left jab. He's got to back Asipeli up.
Edmund Lewis, Asipeli's trainer, said, you're beating him up on the inside. The problem for Asipeli is what happens as he tries to get inside.
That's where the jab would come into play. Instead, we saw a weak hook from the Condon. And now it's Guillermo Jones with a combination and holding on here. Against Tim Williamson, we thought Jones early easily countered. He ran into a lot of punches. They've been working on his balance and lateral movement, but he is absorbing some blows.
Big difference between the first and second round already. You can see it. Because Asipeli didn't make Jones clinch at all. In the second round here, Jones has clinched 2 or 3 times. That's a good sign for Asipeli.
Jones whipping that left hook, but not stopping the onslaught of Asipeli. And he's not coming at Jones with hellacious bombs, and he is continually coming at him. There, Jones trying to break through at Asipeli's face, and the jab lands 3 and 4 times. So when Asipeli, as you noticed, Steve, stops punching, he is a big target.
When he stops punching and when he stops moving. You know, he doesn't have to just win this fight on skill. He has to win it on will. And the way he can win it on will is by being in Jones' face the whole fight.
Punches raining over both men. It's Sione Asipeli who looks a little worse for wear here. He looked like he was rocked. He continues to punch, but there's no steam on his punches. Jones has his man hurt, it appears. Overhand right. Another one as he reloads and lands with still over 40 seconds to go in this second round. Asipeli shrugs it off. His body language says one thing, but the look on his face, and from the appearance of the fact that he stopped throwing many punches tells me he is hurt.
Well, let's see if the last 20 seconds is Asipeli's time, because Jones doing a beautiful job of not just non-stop punching, not much on those punches, but he kept turning, changing the angle, gave Asipeli even less to counter.
And Jones looks a little punched out now.
Well, he is, I'm sure.
Asipeli coming back, ringing wild shots to close out a vigorous second round.
Ends well. Okay. Come on, Joey. Come on, man. Tighten up the defense. Come on. Give me the towel. Give me a towel to wipe his face. Oh, man.
Amazing amount of punches thrown this early in the fight by Jones. And you see him turning. He was against the ropes. He stepped to his right there again. He steps to his right. Beautifully done. And as the round progressed, there was less and less on Jones's punches, but it didn't matter because the first minute of the round, it was all Asipeli, and Jones turned it around. And with these clean punches, cross-arm defense by Asipeli, I don't like that at all because it's so hard to punch off of that cross-arm defense. You have to bring your punches way back.
When you get close, you keep them turning, okay? You're doing excellent, you understand? Watch them looping shots you got, okay? Come on, let's get it cleaned up, okay?
Okay, Station McKinley telling Jones, keep him turning, run him into some shots. Don't let him square off and hit you. And Asipeli's advice from Heston Lewis's trainer and Steve Rowlands, the assistant, tighten your D. It was absent in the second round. Asipeli absorbing punishment. But here he comes again. He's the shorter guy because they're both in red, and it's tough to differentiate. The white waistband is worn by Guillermo Jones, the taller man, smoking the jab there. He would be well served to keep this an outside fight. And look at the swelling under the Tongan's right eye. His back's to us now, but he was definitely tattooed there in the first couple of rounds.
One thing I don't like about Asipeli's approach as a pressure fighter, he doesn't do much bobbing and weaving as he comes in. He doesn't get low. You know, if you're short, make yourself shorter. He's compared by some to Joe Frazier, obviously not his skill or talent or accomplishment, but his style. And Joe Frazier bobbed and weaved his way in, made it very hard for his opponent to hit him. Asipeli doesn't do that. His head is he's too straight up.
And now he tries to glue his head to Jones's chest. Jones not fighting tall, Steve. Why is he bending down? He's got the six-inch advantage. Now he's boxing. Now McKinley asking him to turn his man. But now they're just hugging.
And that's fine for Jones. He's happy to take that rest. Second half of the bout, that's when he could get tired, and he'll want to face himself now, so he has enough left later.
Midway through this third round, scheduled for 10. These are cruiserweights. And they are doing some banging. Some good exchanges, but the pace slows a little bit. And why not? It was red hot the first two rounds. Jones does not want to be on the ropes, but there he is. As you said, trying to get some wind back, it looks like. He looks tired, mouth open. Sione Asipeli. Heart, good chin. He'll take one to land. One, and he'll keep the heat on. That's his strategy. He talked about going to the body, but we haven't seen it much from Asipeli, Steve.
Very little. He had Jones on the ropes there. He did a good job of keeping him on the ropes with his body, but he didn't score enough.
Jones using his reach and height, or not really his reach advantage, but his height here. That's visibility.
He is. What he's doing is he's throwing soft, straight shots. They're not going to stop Asipeli, but they're going to add up. And obviously, when the judges see flush shots landing, well, what are they going to think? They give 10 points to Jones.
And those jabs and uppercuts are getting through, raking Sione Asipeli's face. And we're going to watch the progress of that swelling under his right eye. Asipeli back to his stool. Let's go to Guillermo Jones's
All right? Put a lot of water in here. All right? Take a deep breath, let it out slow. Listen. Deep breath, let it out slow. Listen. I want to see more jabs, okay? The early part of the round. Remember, when a man is tired like this, all right? He can't see them jabs, you understand? This guy done stood up straight. You understand? He ain't low no more. He can't go no lower. His legs is gone. He's tired. He's a dead man, all right? The man done stood up straight. So start to...
Jones, smart enough when he's up against the ropes to limit the exchanges. The right here, he's very hittable. And Asipeli didn't take advantage. Asipeli only punching upstairs, nothing to the body. But there's Jones escaping, at least trying to. And Asipeli doing a good job of keeping him there by holding him, not by punching. That won't cut it for Asipeli.
It still isn't where he wants to be once again. Jones does not want to be trapped against the ropes. But at least, Steve, we did see him tuck his chin and try to really close the gap even more and take away any kind of punching room from Asipeli. But Stacey McKinley's clear instructions here, box, and that, use your jab. And that's where it all starts. They want to keep this man at a distance and begin to wear him down. They're convinced Asipeli is tired. Are you?
No, I don't think he's tired. He may be getting discouraged by getting hit so much. But if anything, the second half of the fight will be Asipeli's time, where he can live all over Jones, be in his chest. Still has the punch, though, and he has not scored very much so far in this fight. I'm sorry, isn't it interesting that Stacey McKinley is in Jones's corner, working with the taller fighter? We last saw him working with Mike Tyson against Lennox Lewis, where he had the problem at Asipeli's corner. Had to get the short guy in there.
Irony there. And as we speak about trainers, Hedgeman Lewis, the former welterweight champion, wanted to say hello to his former manager, the actor and fight fan Ryan O'Neal, who's watching back home in California. We wish him well. And he's seeing a pretty good fight. We like the clip, the pace of this. Once again, these are cruiserweights, and we saw Guillermo Jones in searing heat in Las Vegas outdoors go 10 rounds with Tim Williamson, but not at this type of clip. There's the body shots by Asipeli. He's backing up there and taking a right to the jaw, another right. And Jones able to tee off.
Asipeli has to just start thinking about counter left hooking. You can see he's thinking about defense when Jones is throwing those soft, straight shots.
And Frank Thompson, very little stoppages here. He's letting go, and with good reason. There isn't a lot of holding going on. Now Asipeli taking a breather, trying to get inside. Watch again, as we said, that right eye, the swelling under Asipeli's right eye, the result of those hooks you see, and the jabs from Jones, and there the right hand finds a target. Asipeli looks like he was hit low.
First time in this fight from that right hand that I thought Asipeli was legitimately hurt. He has a great chin, but that's the first time he showed any acknowledgement with his leg that he may have been wobbling.
Now Asipeli in more of a defensive mode. The crossover, and he bangs a hook out of that stance. As 4 rounds are in the books here in Warren, Ohio. We hope you're enjoying this installment of Showbox The New Generation. And want to remind you that new editions debut every other weekend. But if you should miss one, we've got you covered. The show re-airs the next night on Showtime Extreme at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, and the following Saturday night at 8 p.m. on Showtime 2. 3 chances to see Showbox The New Generation, boxing the way it used to be.
Enjoy this one. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's go. Time out. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get busy. Make the jab work for you.
Both corners want more jabs out of their men. It would be certainly in Jones's interest. His strategy going in, Steve, stay away and box for 4 rounds, but he was smothered so much he was forced to get into a firefight and then crank it up a couple of notches. But he blew up a lot of steam there in those first 4 rounds. He did some damage to Asipeli, and how do you have the card?
40-36, clearly every round for Jones. I don't think there's any way, famous last words, any way any judge could see it differently.
Asipeli probably dangerously behind on scorecards. Shaking off that shot from Jones.
You know, this may seem counterproductive to a winning strategy, but I would never tell Asipeli to tighten up his defense. When he's worried about defense at ring center as he's coming forward, he's simply not punching. He's getting hit anyway, so he might as well start throwing those left hook bombs and forget about defense.
Both men look a little beat. Here comes the boxing from Jones, but he soaks up a right hand as he failed to slip those punches and move to the side. And now Sione Asipeli with a little confidence there, landing though that right bomb, perhaps his best punch of the fight.
Put these on.
Jones backing up and punching. Just
just enough movement from Jones. You know, it's not like he's racing around the ring. But all it takes against the shorter guy, and there's no better evidence than Lewis Tyson, all it takes against the shorter guy is one step back, and you're totally out of range of his punches.
Oh, winging right hand and just whipped from Asipeli. And now it's Jones. No real damage with those jabs. The left hook, though, does score with some conviction. Here comes Asipeli banging back with a left of his own. It's not hot in here. We're sitting here now swapping shots, Steve, but it doesn't seem unusually hot. But both guys really look like this pace and the punches they're taking is taking its toll.
Well, Asipeli's tired of getting hit. Jones is tired because he's throwing almost 100 punches around. You know he'd like to fight at a slower pace, but he can't against a fighter who's in his face like this.
Asipeli vowed to take it to Jones. There's Jones with a target standing in front of him. As you said, when Asipeli isn't firing, he is there to be hit. Jones slipping nicely there. As we approach the halfway mark of a fight full of vigor of two big men here in Warren, Ohio.
You're working good. Look, he's controlling this fight.
Jones has been trained just 2 days by Stacy McKinley, but he knows what the strategy would be as a cruiserweight.
You understand? But I don't want you getting hit with them old
Well, I don't see it being a problem because this guy walks around the streets at 200, 215 pounds, and it tells me that he's a natural cruiserweight because he has to train down to make his fight weight, whereas he's down at 168 pounds. I got 6'4". I feel that that's a little bit too light for him. A lot of us trainers and managers have this fantasy about having a 6'4", 147-pound welterweight will give us an advantage, but what it actually does, it weakens up the fighter. So I think this guy's a natural cruiserweight.
So they feel he could fight as a cruiserweight, won't lose anything, and by being pretty beefy, he's sparred with heavyweights all the time. But Steve, I still don't know if it's the lack of discipline that made this guy blow up or just a natural thing that he's really a natural cruiserweight. We know Asipeli is.
Well, you look at his body. He's not a body beautiful by any stretch. He's not that tight. He's also not that fat. So the fact that he can fight at the pace he fought with Williamson, the pace he's fighting here, I believe he can fight effectively at this weight, but he doesn't have the power. And part of the reason is when he throws a lot of punches, obviously the power is going to suffer. We haven't seen power from him in this fight at all.
But he seems to have melted off some of the flab. He looks a lot sharper, and as you said, not a body beautiful than he did 3 months ago against Williamson. I like the way he's fighting, backing up here, landing jabs. Good right hand by Asipeli there. He continues to close the gap. And they're bodying his man, but not shoving Jones into the ropes. Jones absorbs a left hand.
Only 1 or 2 around for Asipeli. He's not going to do it.
Well, they've been throwing water on Jones. Just dripping through it. Part of it could be sweat. He has really had a workout here.
And one good piece of strategy by Jones. When he fought Williamson, he fought southpaw quite a bit, at least half the fight. He's not fighting southpaw at all tonight. And it's the right move because Asipeli has the swelling under the right eye. That's the jab punch.
That jab moving.
So he's right to stay as an orthodox fighter and pick that jab where Asipeli might not be able to see it coming.
Good point. As they trade left hands. Boy, Asipeli looks a little weary.
And what that defeat means is that Jones now has the freedom to stay inside. He sees the punches coming. He's not going to get KO'd by something he doesn't see. And he knows he doesn't even have to use his legs that much anymore.
Right, so he may stop that conventional boxing, keeping it at a distance. I still feel, Steve, he should keep Asipeli at the end of his jab when he can. Right there.
Even there, as he's jabbing, though, he's too close. He's within punching range.
Asipeli has stopped punching for the moment. Jones seemingly trying to set Asipeli up for the uppercut. Chin is hanging out there. There's the right jab you've seen from Jones, who fights a little squared up there. Now they're on the ropes here in the blue corner in front of them. 30 seconds to go in round 6. Jones ducks under a right hand. Asipeli with the crossover defense there. Had some of the steam taken out of him, in my opinion. His work rate has certainly not collapsed, but it's slowed some.
It's going to take a miracle left hook from Asipeli. I can't see any other way he's going to win this fight.
He has really, for the most part, abandoned those body shots that he talked about strategically. Sits down looking a little weary.
Gotta get busy now. I gotta get busy. Let's get the 1-2. You're gonna have to do it. You don't hit him in the body. You're not getting him enough in the body. That's where he's gotta be hit. Right here, though, with the 1-2. Guys, you do way too much. Okay, all right, okay, bro. Okay, give me, all right, give me some grease. Give me some grease. Listen to me, man. Are you listening?
Part of Asipeli's defense, crossover defense, Archie Moore style. See, it's totally ineffective. Because Jones knows he doesn't have to worry about a counterpunch. When you use that cross-arm defense, as Asipeli has, you have to move your arms so far back, you're just not in punching position. So you have to play defense without any threat of playing offense. Jones has the freedom to just do what he wants in there, pick a shot, land anything he wants in your head and or body.
Keep it clean, no less.
Well, Jones doesn't have to change much, does he, Steve? He's probably pitched a shutout on most judges' cards. We wouldn't assume anything, but he's comfortably ahead. Certainly his corner hasn't told him that. You feel that he has to know that. And Sione, Asipeli is going to have to do something radically different here to change this fight, turn it around. I heard some heavy breathing in the corner, though, as Edmund Lewis, his trainer, said we have got to get busy. So this could be certainly a matter of will rather than skill for Sione Asipeli. He has got to call it up deep from the well and keep on punching.
And for Jones, it's really just a matter of focus and consistency, because if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's made this fight easy for himself. Asipeli, I don't think Asipeli has ever gotten Jones' respect in this fight, which is why at this point Jones feels he can fight on the inside and not have to worry about fighting the other guy's fight. A little bit of a southpaw stance there, all of a sudden, first time for Jones.
Stacey McKinley said he's not a proponent of that, because you can get caught in a switchover, and especially from a man who's continually punching like Asipeli. But again, he has slowed down his work rate, and he's the one hanging on now. Boy, he looks tired. Asipeli backing up now. Jones digs a couple of right hands to the ribs. Jones on the ropes. But as long as he's shoulder to shoulder, there's nothing happening. There's no danger there, as you pointed out. Now it's Jones in the middle of the ring with a jab. Double hook. Ineffective jabbing from Asipeli. No power punches behind those. He could run into an uppercut, Steve.
Without any threat of a counter. You know, Jones wants to look good here for a lot of reasons. One of them being Asipeli's one shot at the world title came against Johnny Nelson. That's the fighter Jones is hoping to fight in his next fight. If Johnny Nelson beat Asipeli fairly easily, Jones would like to do the same, kind of forcing Nelson's hand into defending against him.
It's a good measuring stick for him, too. Asipeli walks into a left hook. Here he comes, continuing to try to pull his way into Guillermo Jones. And a left hook by Jones. Right leads, followed by two left hooks, and there's the jab. 5 unanswered punches from Guillermo Jones. Asipeli suddenly with the jab, but again with nothing behind it. There's that long overhand right for Jones. But back comes Asipeli with a hook. As they exchange here, late in round 7, guys seemingly picking up the pace, getting a bit of a second win, but certainly it's Sione Asipeli fighting with an air of desperation. And we want to invite those of you with internet access to visit our website at show.com. You'll find records and bios of tonight's fighters, as well as information on all upcoming Showtime boxing. In addition, my broadcast partner and pal Steve Farhood posts a fight preview on a Monday prior to each of our telecasts, and we'll answer select questions from you. So join in on the interactive experience and log on to show.com. Once again, that address is sho.com. We are here in Warren, Ohio. This is our main event, a 10-round cruiserweight bout. Guillermo Jones from Panama, and you're looking at Sione Asipeli from Tonga.
I want this guy out of here, you understand? Say, it's how you win. Come on.
Casey McKinley wants him to crank it up, I think. Good idea, bad idea. He's having it his way, Steve.
He might be telling him to crank it up just to pump him up. Keep the energy level high for Jones.
I agree.
Which is a good idea.
Now Jones boxing. Bouncing off the ropes. There's the jab. There's the left to the body from Asipeli.
Very impressive that Jones has been able to dominate as he has without really having to hold very much. Not like when Asipeli gets inside, Jones feels threatened and grabs. He's been able to fight Asipeli pretty much on Asipeli's terms.
I just think Asipeli looks so limited, Steve. You look at Jones standing there squared up, and as you said, in range. He's a target also, but he just doesn't seem to respect Asipeli's ability to get there.
Well, Asipeli's hand speed is really slow to this fight. He's never really recovered from the beating he took in the first 3 rounds.
But he really poured it on. It was a strategy that failed in that he really shot a lot of his bullets in that sense in regard to looking like he's fading a bit now down the stretch. Asipeli unbowed in that he is continuing to come forward. Guillermo Jones trying to fight him off and bending low for some strange reason, taking away that 6-inch height advantage. There's the uppercut, though, and the right hands that are landing. Steve, if you put a power meter on Guillermo Jones, what kind of reading do you get?
Power meter low. He's not punching, he's not trying to punch with power. He doesn't have to punch with power. You know, at the top I said Asipeli has to outwork Jones. It turned out it's just the opposite. Jones is outworking Asipeli. He's not worrying about power. He's scoring, mixing his punches. And no point trying to knock out a guy who doesn't get knocked out.
Jones winging shots. The Tongan shaking his head that he hasn't been hurt. But he isn't doing much here inside 30 seconds of round 8.
Beautiful spin by Jones, getting out of trouble there, and now putting Asipeli on the rope.
Asipeli, though, chugging his way back to the middle of the ring and backing up Jones. Absorbing blows in the process. Jones closing the round with conviction, and Steve enough to win it, I take it.
No doubt. 8-0.
Jones having his way.
All fight long, he's mixed his punches real well. Starting with the jab. Soft, short shots. Look at that. Sort of using his right hand as a jab. Because Asipeli, the idea of head movement seems to be foreign to him. Asipeli's left hand there, totally by his side. No defense whatsoever, not even the cross arm defense.
And those were highlights we were looking at throughout the fight, so a compilation.
The jab is good. Your hook is excellent. Sword on the head. Listen, your hook is good. I want this guy out of here. You understand? You understand? I want you to knock this guy out, man. You understand? Left hook, right hand, everything to the head. Keep them 1-3, guys. Come on.
Boy, I understand, Steve, but it may not be that easy.
Wipe it up here.
The last time he was, well, never been knocked out. The last time he was stopped was by Dale Brown, a 10-round loss. Well, I should say James Toney, the 10-round decision, his last fight.
Down one time in his career, Asipeli. in that Johnny Nelson title fight. I think McKinley is using a little bit of psychology. I don't think he really expects his man to score a knockout. He wants him to punch because this is what got him 8 rounds to 0, punching frequently.
I love the way Sione Asipeli's come out, though. You see the torn tape on Asipeli's right glove, but Frank Thompson hasn't spotted it, or if he has, he's elected to ignore it and let them fight on. Got to see it here. Here comes Jones.
And you can see now, when Asipeli has his man in close, there's nothing coming. He's not doing anything. He's not effective on the inside anymore.
Oh, he ran into a left hook there. Box is the word. That's what Jones is doing now. Streaking that left jab, following with the right there, and tying up Asipeli as the seconds click on and time runs out. Sione Asipeli needs something big, also known as a knockout punch.
We talked at the top, is Jones a legitimate cruiserweight? Well, I don't think, if he weren't a legitimate cruiserweight, I don't think he could throw this many punches.
You don't have to have the one-punch head-banging power to do what you've done. Just with the jabs alone, as Sione Asipeli's face. He's cut this guy up fairly effectively, Steve.
With the exception of Tommy Hearns, who started as a welter, how many fighters who make drastic advances in weight classes carry their power with them? Hearns did it. But very, very few fighters can manage that.
Jones with a stinging right hand, but here comes Asipeli fired up, answering with a left.
Those are the 2 hardest punches Jones has landed in 5 rounds.
Jones is back with the uppercut. And we see Asipeli, nose looks even swollen now as he eats a couple of more punches and tries to stop the onslaught by tying up Jones. Going into the defensive turtle shell. Asipeli flicks the jab, but nothing behind it. Nearing the end of round 9, and Sione Asipeli is seen once again of a miracle as he stares down Jones. 1 round to go.
Sione, we got a round. We got a round. We got a round. We got a round, okay? Let's do something. 1 round to make a difference in quality of life. You got to think about the story. You got to punch. You got to punch. You got to punch. You got to stop the bullshit. Okay, let's go.
When you go in the body.
Cruiserweights out there. You understand what I'm saying? James Tony, Giroff, all of them. They couldn't do this.
I want to show them.
You understand?
Yes.
All right, then. We're going to get them all. But I want you to finish strong, okay? Sean was supposed to be able to fight for the title.
Okay.
Sean, the title's yours. You ain't no fluke.
Okay.
You can fight, boy. Get up. Come on, man. For the what?
I think Burgess Meredith was rocking.
Great job by McKinley. I like that. Maybe that's why he wants Jones to go for the KO, because nobody has stopped Asipeli. That would be great on Jones' resume.
Hey, can we like your
Absolutely
corner,
right.
please? Can we like your corner, coach? Fighters? Back.
Frank Thompson starts them out. 3 minutes to go in this one.
That's right. Let's keep your arms free the whole round. Free.
Sione Asipeli, the shorter guy, has taken a pounding in this fight. Keeps on coming. Needs something big. A combination out of the blue could stop Guillermo Jones' momentum. There's the elbow and forearm coming into play as Jones now dances, peppering Asipeli with those left hands and moving out of danger. Boxing effectively here and now tying up Asipeli. 2 minutes to go in this fight. Asipeli undeterred. He's inside once again, but not punching.
Free your wrestling.
every once in a while, Asipeli loads up with that left hook. The problem is it comes at a time when Jones is looking right at him. He's prepared for the punch. There's no drama. And Jones just ducks under it or puts his right glove up and blocks it.
Jones with 5 or 6 unanswered shots there. Nothing with pulverizing power. But again, he's by far the busier guy here. And I have to be impressed by his relative freshness here in the 10th round. Only his second battle as a cruiserweight. 10-year pro, backing up right now and still throwing shots. Asipeli's got 1 minute to do something here. But it looks as if the Tongan long ago ran out of strategy, ran out of talent to cope with Guillermo Jones, who goes southpaw there, and is teeing off here on Sione Asipeli.
And look at Jones bouncing.
Asipeli looks dazed.
For Asipeli, it's been like a snowstorm. You know, the flakes of snow aren't going to hurt you, but when they're coming down as fast as they are, they kind of stun you and you feel disoriented. It's been that way all fight for Asipeli. Just a lot of soft punches in his face.
Good analogy, Steve.
Arms free, get him free.
As Guillermo Jones finishes with a flurry, Asipeli, you gotta give it to him in terms of heart. He was the guy who landed the last punch, but he was hopelessly overmatched in this one.
Impressive win. In a way, it was even more impressive than the Williamson fight, because in that fight, Jones controlled the pace. This fight, he had to really fight early real hard.
Jones with his manager, Porfirio Betagon. And there's Stacy McKinley. Once again, he had one sparring session, one training session with this guy. But you gotta like his motivating presence in the corner.
For sure. The guy just knows how to fight. Period. It's that simple.
Menciona el nombre de su entrenador. Menciona el nombre de su entrenador. Menciona el nombre de su entrenador.
It doesn't take a lot to frustrate Asipeli. All fight long, Jones, subtle movement. Now, he's against the ropes. That's where Asipeli wants him. Boom. As soon as his back touched the ropes, a veteran move, he spun away, and now look who's against the ropes. So that made Asipeli's one moment that he could have shined totally negated that moment, and again, in ring center now, nothing he can do. 10th round, Jones could have rested. He didn't. After the pretty good speech, or just merited speech from his trainer, McKinley, telling him to go out and stop this guy. Well, he tried. Threw a lot of punches in the 10th round. Asipeli very little resistance. Cross-arm defense totally useless, and no punches coming back from Asipeli. He's lucky Jones isn't a big puncher, because if Jones landed solid shots with Asipeli's hands down and not punching back, referee would have had an excuse to stop the fight.
No knockdowns in this fight, but from all evidence, everybody here, it was a clear win for Guillermo Jones. But let's go up to Ronnie Duncan, who's got the official story.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give both of these fighters a round of applause. 10 exciting rounds of boxing. Our judges have spoken, and these are the numbers. Judge John Kiska scores it 99-91. Paul Miller scores it 99-91. And Judge Phil Rogers scores it 99-92. The winner by unanimous decision, Guillermo Jones is your winner by unanimous decision.
Steve, a couple of questions. Let's revisit that power quotient with Guillermo.